Greetings and welcome to Political Science 2. I think the official name for this is Introduction to Foreign Governments, but this course is really known as Introduction to Comparative Politics. Uh, to me, this is the hardest course in political science to teach, but maybe the easiest course for students to take. And I know that when I was a student and I took comparative politics for the first time, for me it was a fascinating course. I thought it was relatively easy. And my professor told me what I'm telling you, that for him, it was the hardest course he had to teach. And for him, it kind of made sense because he was a political theory professor. That was his real love, but he also taught some comparative politics as well. I fell in love with comparative politics in graduate school. My mentor uh, was a specialist in comparative politics and European politics, and you'll see this course kind of emphasizes European politics. I stole several things from him, and especially I stole my love for comparisons. And actually, my mentor and I, ironically, I published a few articles. One of them you will see when we get to Germany. You can skip ahead if you want to and look at that article on alliance pathology. But what's intriguing is all three articles that my mentor and I published together, all of them were basically written and devised at baseball games. So for me, there's something fertile about the baseball field that gets me thinking in terms of comparative politics. Comparative politics to me is fascinating because you can choose to compare almost anything in a comparative course. For me, and for your textbook author, who I'm going to just call Roskin from now on, I like the book, even though I wish it were longer, even though I wish it were more detailed, because the comparisons are consistent throughout the book. He starts out with looking at history, and then he looks at political institutions. Then he looks at politics and briefly at policy. And he does this for every country. And a lot of books looking at comparative politics, um, the treatment is uneven usually because there are multiple authors working on it. And usually the authors concentrate on the part of the world they happen to be interested in. And so sometimes your coverage of one area may be very, very good, and of another area not particularly good. So even though I think the analysis is a little simplistic, this is an introductory course, and so uh, I think that the comparisons are good. Although you will hear me complain from time to time, and usually after that complaining, I then will fill in some details to that. As you can see by this face, I've been teaching for a long time. The first course I ever taught was in 1983, so you can do the math. I was a teaching assistant at UC Davis. The first course I taught on my own was at UC Davis. I believe it was in 1985 or 1986. I started teaching at the community college level at American River College up in the Sacramento area in 1989. And for 9 years, I was a freeway flyer teaching at three community colleges in three counties. I was teaching at American River College in Sacramento County, at San Joaquin Delta College in Stockton, and Modesto Junior College in Stanislaus County. And I was fortunate enough to be hired by Merced College in 1998, and this is my 23rd year here. I also teach part time at Cal State Stanislaus, and I have taught political science for 11 years at Stanislaus. So I'm a little unusual in terms of my background. I grew up extraordinarily poor in rural Kentucky. I may tell some of those stories. Probably the best place to engage in storytelling with me would be during my Zoom office hours, and I will have an office hour. You will see it where it says Zoom office hour information in that first module. I'll put a little link there. Every Monday, Wednesday, Friday from 8 to 9. I will have a scheduled Zoom office hour. Uh, because lives are crazy in the COVID world that we live in right now, I will be available. If you email me, I'll make an arrangement to either talk to you on the phone, over email, over Zoom, or whatever will work for you. And especially, I think, in this particular course, some contact might be useful. So please, in American government, and I know most of you have taken American government, that was a government you were familiar with. Britain, France, Germany, hopefully we'll get to Russia. That's actually was my country of specialization. In fact, I'm so old that we didn't call Russia Russia then. We called it the Soviet Union in the 1980s. China, if we get to it. Last year, COVID interrupted this course right in the middle, and the result was that we only got to Britain, France, and Germany. And in this course, I've kind of let students determine whether we uh, teach fewer countries and go into more detail or more depth, or whether we go through the countries more quickly, cover more countries, but in less depth. Because this is online, again, this is where communication is key. I have a tentative schedule with 5 countries being taught: Britain, France, Germany, Russia, and China. If there's an overwhelming sense that the pace is too quick, we can slow down a little bit. I don't see any way possible that you're going to say the pace is too slow and try to get me to cover a 6th country. I have in the past gotten to 6 countries, and I've always let students decide the 6th country. Students have voted for Mexico, they have voted for Iran, they have voted for Brazil. Um, Actually, may surprise some of you. One of my areas of specialization is sub-Saharan Africa. I had the absolute great fortune to work for one of the best known African scholars in the world for 3 years. And so I'm fairly conversant in African politics. So a country like Nigeria, for example, or South Africa would be countries that I would feel very, very comfortable talking about whether it is a country in the book or not. If you take a look at the syllabus, it's a short syllabus. It's pretty open-ended. That's by design. My American government syllabus is 5 pages. Some semesters it's 6 pages. The comparative syllabus is only 2 pages. And once again, it's because I've created as much flexibility as possible. All students have to take American government, and so everything is not set in stone, but set pretty firmly. This course I only have the good fortune to teach one time a year, and it is a course that usually I have a lot of people who have taken American government from me. It is usually, when we're face to face, has a lot more discussion. Again, in the COVID world, that won't be true. But what you will notice is that the lectures will be embedded, and there will be mini lectures. And my mini lectures are almost all within a few seconds of 15 minutes, anywhere from 14 minutes and 55 seconds to about 15 minutes and 5 seconds. You can follow along in the notes. Once in a while, I will stray away from the notes a little bit. That's usually to illustrate or to tell a story. There will be lots of hints in the mini lectures. I'll say things like when this appears on the exam, for example. Some of you who have taken me before are familiar with that. And if you took me in the COVID world, you may remember me doing this with stars on the board. I just come right out and tell you a lot of times when something will be on the exam. The uh, the grading format, and that's really what you're interested in, is essentially there will be multiple choice tests. And essentially every chapter, although to be fair, the first chapter test is the intro material plus Britain. And then there'll be a chapter test on France and on Germany if we get to Russia, for example. And then there will be a midterm and a final exam that will be written. It'll be an essay. I'll talk about it in more detail later, but you will type it into a box in Canvas. I'll receive it, and then I will grade it. I'll probably put some type of word requirement or limit on it. I think last semester my recommendation was 500 to 750 words. I wouldn't penalize you if you were below or above it, but I was looking for something in that range. There will be a history question. There will be an institutions question. Usually there's a politics question. I usually give you three choices, and you decide which one of those essays you want to do. And both of those essays uh, will count. And so grading will be the usual 90, 80, 70, 60% distribution. Those guarantee you the grade. If you get 90%, you're going to get an A, 80% a B, 70% a C. I do reserve the right to give you a better grade than you deserve. There have been semesters where students, through discussions, through participation, um, have moved that up. And if the grade distribution is a little bit lower than I would like, I may alter it for that reason, which might occur in this particular case. If you look at the tentative schedule, approximately an exam a month. For example, if you look at the tentative schedule, and for those of you who are veterans of my courses, you may be laughing because you do know that I tend to fall behind, and you know, if I do, and I shouldn't in this case because the lectures are mostly done. I just haven't done the Britain section. I actually have the France and Germany stuff from when I taught this course online last year. I'm going to tweak them a little bit. Some of those lectures I really liked, some I didn't. I have all of the introductory lectures done. So as we speak right here, the only thing that I need to do are the Britain lectures. So, but through email and through announcements, I will ask the pacing on the course. How are you doing? And hopefully we can get a dialogue going as well. So if all goes according to the tentative schedule, there's going to be a chapter test, a multiple choice test about the middle of February, actually later February, February 19th. The first essay should be mid-March, and of course that would include a chapter test, a multiple choice test on France, followed by an essay comparing Britain and France. Then in April, a Germany chapter test, and then in April, a Russia chapter test. And if we get to China, maybe a China chapter test. If we don't get to China, I would be thrilled if we just got through the first four countries, and then the final exam would have you compare Germany and Russia. And that essentially is the course. I really, really encourage you to email me, to make contact with me, to ask questions. Certainly make use of the Zoom office hours. And let me know if the mini lectures are understandable. So, especially these first couple of weeks, please email me and look over the syllabus and let me know of your concerns. Have a wonderful day and welcome to Political Science 2.